To see you for a final time. Thank you for being back. Our seminar is now slowly drawing to its close. Before we all go back to our different activities, we thought it would be just a good idea for a few minutes to have a recap over these last 2 days with Laurent, the chairman of the seminar committee. Laurent, you're in Luxembourg. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone.
Right. Well, my question is very simple. How did you find the event? Did anything surprise you particularly?
I think the event went quite well. I mean, if according to the circumstances, of course, we are all in because of this bloody virus. In terms of surprise, I was surprised by the level of engagement, I would say, from the people. If in the networking lounge, for instance, I have seen and I have also experienced personally lots of discussion, and chat with people, sending their thought or questions. And I have to confess that in the very beginning, when we started this project with the virtual platform, I was not convinced. I was really concerned that it would be one of the main challenges. How do you get interaction between people, if you don't have a physical seminar, but a virtual one? And I have to say the technical aspect of it was also a real pleasure. If I look at it, I believe we have all attended so many webinars, and so many phone calls and video conferences over the last 8 months. And the Pharma team, when we decided to go fully virtual, as we called it, we really wanted to have something a bit different. I would say as close as possible as the real world, if we can go to that, of course, level. And when I see the platform, I believe it was really a good tool. I talked about the networking lounge, but you also had a couple of side functionalities. I would say, the e-drink, as the exhibition area. It was really trying to be in a closed environment for 2 days. So not, of course, we are all in the office or at home, but you get the feeling of being part of an event by having the platform always open on your screen. And obviously, of course, we have not avoided, the technical hiccups here and there. We have lost a couple of speakers. We have seen some of them freezing, literally on screen, and we have been able to hear, these new quotes. If you think about the 8 months, and think about what we have all heard hundreds of times. Do you hear me? And I think you're on mute, which is usually what follows. But joke aside, I believe the technicalities were really good. And allowed us all to have, I hope, a productive and very positive seminar.
Well, let's go into detail just a little bit. What will be your highlights from yesterday, from day one, and what did we learn from yesterday, from day one?
Yeah, but from day one, for me, the plenary was really about setting up the scene, I would say, of the seminar, and I believe we have heard very interesting explanation from all stakeholders, I would say, in the process. From the insurance market, we have had the view of the insurance companies about the profitability issue, let's call it that way, they have with the commercial and industrial insurance market. We've heard from brokers, how their clients were impacted, the geographies, the lines of business, and we had also the opinion or the view from the insurance and risk management community about the issues we are facing in that environment. So I believe it was really, as I said, setting up the scene and then moving to what does it mean for the insurance and risk managers. And that was basically how we wanted to structure, the 2 days of the seminar. The first day was really to focus on what we believed as a committee were the 3 main challenges. How do you improve your communication? Because now you have more tricky question coming from the top, because you go to your management with different outcomes. It's not only about the premium, it's also about, capacity reduction, exposure that is not insured anymore, or new exclusion or reduction in cover, whatever. So the questions are coming. And so we wanted to try to, outline what is the best way to communicate internally. Because of course, it's not only about what we communicate, it's also how. When you go to the top management and you have more time, we are used to have 2 minutes. And when we go to our CFO, now we have 15, which is another world. I mean, you really need to have something to say, but to say it in the right way. That's what we tried with that workshop. We also talk about, how do you get a better connection, and it's a bit back to basics, I would say, between risk management, really meaning understanding your exposure, identifying your risk, and the risk appetite of your company, and how do you link that more efficiently with insurance? Maybe, over the last years or over the last decade, I mean, insurance and risk managers, let's say, lost a bit that efficient connection, and it's needed again to cope with the insurance market. And then, of course, the interesting explanation from the workshop about, other self-financing solution. We used to say that insurance is just one solution to finance your risk, but there are multiple others. So it was also good, I believe, to refresh a bit everybody's mind about what is available in the market, captives, other solution, and what kind of rationale you should have if you intend to use that. And then day 2, I would say, was a bit more digging into the detail. That's a bit how we thought about that. About now that you have insurance not necessarily 100% efficient with all risk exposure, the question is really, how do you define your exposure and how do you assess your exposure? Because now it's not about saying it's just covered, we have 500 million of limit, or 100 or 200, whatever. It's really, if it's uninsured, if you have to increase your retention, you really need to understand that exposure much more, in a much better way, I would say. And then I believe the explanation from the plenary this morning were really interesting, to have the insight of professionals explaining how they do that, what are the methodologies, and their, I would say, recommendation to achieve that. And then in the afternoon, having, a bit of a focus on 3 exposures that, once again, we as a committee believed were, of course, tricky exposure, I would say, or difficult exposure to assess, which were the IT, the climate change, and the supply chain exposure. And I hope it was also useful for all the attendees to get the insights from people with, specific expertise and experience in this field. And I'm really happy that they have been able to share their views about that.
Just as the general question, how do you think that the seminar will practically help risk and insurance managers in their daily work?
Well, I hope it will, of course, because that was really, our objective. Our objective was really to combine theoretical and practical insight. I would say, I personally hate what I call, the consultant slide deck, where you have only theory and you don't really see how you can put that into practice. So we really wanted, and that was guidelines for all our moderator and from the committee, that please try to be specific, try to be pragmatic, practical. Of course, you always need a bit of theory. Nothing is coming out of the blue. And I really hope that we have achieved that. And that's how I hope they will take, what they need. I mean, that's a bit, the toolkit of an insurance and a risk manager is very, very diverse. And everyone has its own level, has its own problems, their own, company profile, their own management with their own culture and philosophy. So I really hope that these practical insights, supported by the theoretical presentation, will really be, there will be something for each and every of the attendees, I mean, to take back at home or at the office. And now we can say to take back at home, because maybe they are still at home for some of them, and really apply it on a daily basis in their communication, in the way they try to assess their risk exposure. If they need to explore or strengthen or develop their self-financing strategy with a captive or another tool. I hope that they have received some key insight to help them to define their strategy or define their process. So I would not have a specific answer. I just really hope that everyone will at least go back home with 2 or 3 ideas, let's say, that they believe they could implement on a daily basis.
Okay, well, final questions and final words from you. It's obviously, as you said, a very difficult environment at the moment. Just if you can finish on your key message, and if you'd like to say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah, but I would conclude by saying that that all discussions and all presentation we have seen over these 2 days clearly show that if it was ever needed, that risk management goes far beyond insurance, and maybe the insurance hardening market is a kind of a wake-up call to tell us all that we need to refocus our efforts on the basics, risk management, exposure assessment, mitigation, prevention. How do we communicate? I mean, all these topics that we have addressed. I mean, that's really one of the best way to first cope with the hardening insurance market. And as always in a crisis, you can see that it's a difficult environment. But it's also a fantastic opportunity for all our risk and insurance management community to demonstrate its value to within our companies by providing good advice, fair, sound analysis, good methodologies, and hopefully actionable ideas and action plan for our management to drive the company in our scope. So as always, it's a difficult environment, but let's see it as an opportunity because this is really by developing all these skills and be more impactful and more valuable basically for our companies, that we will also strengthen our profession, get it more recognized within the company, and really show that we are not only a cost center, as very often we are considered, but we can also make value propositions that are really delivering added value for the company.
And perhaps a few words of thanks, and hopefully we'll be meeting again next year. You can tell us about that.
Yeah, of course, as a final conclusion, I would like, of course, to warmly thank, of course, all my, seminar committee members who have all together, put that program and get the moderators, the speakers, and organize all these sessions. I mean, that was a lot of work. So, I would like to thank them really, very, very much for their contribution and support. That was really a teamwork. Of course, the Firma team, for organizing and managing what I would call the logistic, even though in that kind of environment, the logistic was not really physical. Of course, our strategic partner, Firma strategic partners who supported us, even though the final organization of the seminar was fundamentally different than what they expected. And of course, you, Alex, thank you very much for moderating, the plenaries and this closing session in the very professional way as you have always did. And yes, if I may say, I would like to already, pencil the agenda of everyone that, next year we should all meet in Copenhagen for the next Firma Forum in 2021. You can see on the screen that the topic, or at least, the overall theme will be from risk to resilience, learning to deal with disruption. I just hope that we will be also able to learn about how to deal with, again, physical meetings, a few drinks, a few, friendly chat, and all meet together, and that these, COVID outbreak and crisis will be, we all hope, forgotten.
Thank you, merci beaucoup. Thank you very much indeed, Laurent. The replays of the sessions of today will be available in the rooms, that's the rooms where they took place, either the workshop rooms or the auditorium tomorrow, and you can access them up until the 12th of November. As you know better than anybody, it's a very risky world, and even though you're used to risks, be careful, stay safe, see you soon. Thank you very much indeed. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Alex. Bye.